We're live. Hello, everyone.
Do it live.
We're live on something.
Live on something or high on something? Well, we can go both ways with that. I could do both of those things. But anyway, let's not digress here and go sideways. Welcome everyone.
Live.
No, you're not. No, you're fucking not. No, you're not. So, hello, everyone. Welcome. Four Guys Live. Four Guys are live on the Roundtable Show. It's been a while with these three jabronis here. Coach Jeremy, Darth Pat, AJ Nitro, and Wah. Hello to everyone in Facebook world. How is everyone doing on this dandy Sunday evening?
And this was my last day of vacation. I go back to work tomorrow. So
that's why he has time for us. There's no wrestling pay-per-view.
There's no wrestling pay-per-views.
Oh shit! That was a good one. That came out of nowhere.
I'm at least sporting a new hat.
That was random.
Yeah, what kind of hat is that, Jeremy?
This is Breaker Surf Shop. They have a place down in Bethany Beach. I'm sure they have other locations too. But so that was my. Ended up having to buy two hats because I forgot my golf cap down there. Up here, so I ended up needing a new golf hat. And then I really liked the hats that they had at this place, but I had to find one that fit right. And this is the only one out of like the 40 some hats that they had, all different styles, all different colors, that actually fit my head right.
Why did you need a golf hat?
Well, because I have a bald ass head and I didn't want it to burn.
Right.
You need to use an SP 100 on that shit.
I wore a hat to the zoo. I didn't wear a hat to Cedar Point, but I wore one to the zoo. So
I'm so glad I don't have to worry about that issue.
Yes,
legitimately.
My dad has more hair than I do, but his hair is a little bit thinner than mine. What he has, and he gets burned right through his hair that he has. So he has to be careful when he's at the beach too. So his hair is just not thick enough anymore. He's got more hair, but not as thick.
I barely wear hats anymore. It seems mostly because of the fact that it's so goddamn hot all the time that it's like I just don't want to sweat through the goddamn thing. I'm a little particular about my hats. I don't like them getting extremely dirty. So
same here. I have a couple old hats that are like sweat stained. I'm like, oh, wash these and still sweat stains. Like, I'm not wearing these no more.
I don't wear them at the beach. I like to wear hats other times, but yeah, I'm not a big hat wearer when it's really hot out because I don't like that, because it's just might as well just freaking put a beanie on and make my head sweat. That's why I don't understand those fashion beanies. I'm like, that looks absolutely ridiculous because you can't tell me you're not hot. Like, I don't care how thin that damn thing is, you're hot.
If it's super hot, I'll break out one of my visors and wear that. That'll work.
Yeah, I only wear a hat to protect against getting burned. That's the only reason I wear a hat.
Yeah. I can't wear visors because of an old George Carlin routine where he said that a visor is half of a hat.
So you don't wear a visor because of George Carlin.
Pat,
right.
I can't.
And
I
also
can't
because
really picture you in a visor, Pat. I can't really picture you in a visor.
I've also always kind of thought that visors were stupid. So
especially seeing Pat rocking it like backwards, upside down, that would be even better.
Maybe it's also because of the. Maybe it's also because you know who I know that likes to wear visors from time to time?
No.
My mother.
Oh, sweet. You could look like your mom. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Can't picture that.
But does she wear like the old school, like green see-through type of visors, like at the bingo halls that they wear? She rock one of them?
No, nothing like that.
Then it's okay then. Visor.
Yeah,
they get matching visors and walk down the street together. It would be fantastic.
and she does it rarely too. Now, like for example, next weekend, her two sisters, the one who lives in Indiana, the one who lives in Florida, are going to be visiting. And I think my cousin from Indiana who got married last year is also coming. My other cousin from Indiana is not. But it's going to be like, I think, the first time that my mother and all of her siblings will be in the same place since I think my older sister's wedding 7 years ago. So we're having like a get together at my parents' house, not my house anymore. My parents' house
That's probably weird.
Next Sunday.
That's probably weird to say that, Pat.
It is. I'm getting used to it now, though. But so anyway, they're like all going to go to the shore on Friday, so they're going to drive to the Jersey Shore and everything. Guarantee my mother will wear a visor that day, because that's one time that she will always wear a visor is if she's going to the beach. So
rocking the visor, not wrong.
Yep.
Oh,
you know,
man, that's funny. Yeah, no. So my week's been very interesting. Stressed out more than I normally am with my job. They instituted a new program that they want us to use for tracking project work. And I understand the point of it, but my brain immediately goes to, oh my God, now I'm in a job where they're going to start tracking and seeing how much work I'm actually doing, which that kind of shit drives me nuts. I don't like being micromanaged like that. Like, I like to be trusted that, you know, I'm doing work, even if I don't have like a particular project that I'm working on, because like with what I was brought on for, doesn't have a whole lot of like project work, so to say. Like, it's updating stuff randomly, you know, throughout, you know, as it gets closer to like the time when the meetings are going to happen and stuff like that, or trying to come up with ideas of how to revamp stuff. And so those are like the only like projects. It's all like whatever I want it to be, you know, whatever projects I kind of dream up, that's my project work. So a lot of the times I'm handling other stuff that doesn't have anything to do with the actual program that I'm part of, like helping out with this technical support group, you know, because I was asked to do that. So I help out with that. So like I got weirded out by it because I'm like, if I don't have something in there, does that mean to them I'm not doing work? But they're not using it for that purpose. They're using it to, like, as projects come in, where the down, you know, where are the lags? Where's this? If they need to hire more people because they're like, okay, we need X amount of people to be able to help out with this, you know, they got to
like
be able
forecasting.
to validate that. Right. They need to be able to validate that with the amount of work that they have, you know, when he goes to his boss, my boss's boss, when he goes to his boss, you know, they need to be able to prove,
boss.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. When he asks, okay, what projects are you working on? Where are the holdups? What's getting completed? How fast is it getting done? This program allows them to pull like an analytic sheet to say, okay, this is what we got going on. This is how fast we're getting them done. These are where our stalls are and things like that. It's a really good, it's a program called Kanban. Like, a lot of organizations use it because it's
heard of that.
It's used to help project and see where problems are and move things faster through streaming, through the, you know, finalized streaming. But like, I was just like, ugh, like, so I talked to my boss. I'm like, you know, I'm doing work, you know, even though I don't have it. So if I don't have something in there, it doesn't mean I'm not working. He's like, don't worry, we're not using it for that. You're good.
Not yet.
What you do.
then as soon as you said that, your boss looked at you with a raised eyebrow and said, do I know you're always doing work?
Well, I have to safely assume he does, because he never told me any other thing. He's like, never asked me, Jeremy, are you really doing something? Because I don't think you have enough to do. Like, he's never asked me that. He'll always ask me, hey, do you know, we got something coming up. Would you be interested? And I'm always like, yes, because I am always interested in helping out in other areas, because I don't have a problem with having more work to do as long as it never overloads me and I can't get what I need to do done for my particular program. But so that was that. And then Saturday was going to buy a new car, which is a pain in the ass. Even
it always is.
Picked out, even when you know that it's going to be there, because the whole week was like, okay, don't sell my car, don't sell it until Saturday, because I didn't have the time throughout the week to go do it, because it's a 3 to 4 hour process, even when everything's already done.
Yeah, it's fucking horrible.
Yeah. So that was a pain in the ass, because we got there at, what did we get there? About 4 o'clock, 4:15-ish, somewhere in there. And we did not get out of there until about 7:30.
That's
3 hours.
That's not a great time to go, because you're gonna run into the dinner hours, and especially when you've got kids with you, you know, that was probably
we made sure
a nightmare.
They ate before we left. We took snacks with us. Like, we had plenty of stuff for them, and my kids were actually great. Like, you know, there's so many times we're like, oh my God, it's just like, please don't do anything wrong. Like, we're out somewhere, please, we're in public, you know, and we kind of worry. But my kids were, surprisingly, both my kids were fantastic. And they were so well behaved that we got dinner out, and then we even went and got ice cream out. So like they got a double treat for, you know, being so good in that. And I walked away with a great car, and then today was the other car getting that all cleaned up and all ready to sell, which was pretty much all my day out in the sun sweating my ass off. So that was fun and stressful because now I got to
isn't it
sell
though?
this car. So I went from buying a car to now have to sell a car. So that's been my week and my weekend. It's been really fun.
I actually did something like that this week too, Jeremy. I didn't have to go through everything you did because they sent me a text message saying we want to buy your 2020 Kia Soul, and we'll put you in a brand new one, and your payment will go down.
Oh, well, that's nice.
So Nicole got a 2022 orange Kia Soul.
Ooh.
And they paid off the last one, and my payment went down like $15. Nice. So,
well, and that's the thing. Like I learned, and even this car salesman that I was dealing with, he even said the market right now for used cars is so demanding that
I've heard that
they're buying new used cars as fast as they can, and they are jacking the price up on a used car as much as they can to sell, and they're selling them. Like, you know, it's crazy. I could not get them to come down. They would not come down one goddamn dollar on my car. Like, I was just like, you know, just 26, you know, just meet me at 26. They were like, nah, they wouldn't even like come down like 100, like 500, nothing. I was like, okay. They're like, and they're like, well, here, see this is our, now I'm not going to lie. I did really get a good thing out of it for, you know, that kept it at the price that it was at. I have a lifetime warranty on the powertrain.
Okay.
So and when I mean lifetime, like it's 300 months or 500,000 miles. Like I'll never reach either of those with the life of this vehicle. So it's legitimately lifetime.
Well, I mean, you got a Honda, right?
Yes.
It's definitely possible. It definitely could be possible.
Yeah, I think I'd hit the months before I hit the miles. I just don't drive that much anymore.
True.
But yeah, so
These day and age.
But it was just like, okay, you know, you are guys are gonna cover that, and if something does go wrong, you know, we're good. So, and they also gave us like lifetime tires and something else as long as we take the car to them to get the oil changes and the tires rotated on on the schedule that they want it to be, like, you know, that 3 months, 3,000 miles, as long as you're continuously going to them. So could make out on that stuff too. So we'll find out. Just depends on if
that's
I
good though.
Drive all the way down there to do that stuff on a, you know, every 3 months basis. That could get old real quick.
I signed up for something where I get the oil changes for free, but they send me like a coupon book, and I have to take the coupon in.
Oh,
so it doesn't necessarily. I don't have to do it every. I can do it. I usually do it every 5,000 for oil changes, sometimes 6. So they're sending me a coupon book where I have to just take the coupons in to get it done. So
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that. That works too.
If they're putting synthetic in, you usually can go longer. It just depends.
You definitely can.
My Charger definitely is a synthetic oil change, but I had the Kia. It's the lowest model. It's like the base model, so I usually could get away with getting the $20 oil change on that one. So
yeah,
you really don't need synthetic for that. I don't put synthetic in my Soul.
So they've tried.
Because your Soul is real, it doesn't need synthetic.
Nope.
They've tried, Joe. Don't trust me. They like look it up the first time I take it. Let me make sure that this doesn't need it. I'm like, look, this is a base model Soul. I don't need a synthetic oil change.
Unless you have like the turbo Soul, all the other models, unless you have the turbo, I wouldn't use synthetic in any of the models unless it was a turbo. Other than that, just use the standard oil. It's not a big deal.
They wanted I didn't go to them. They came to me. Like the finance guy's like, why are you doing this? I'm like, because you guys said you're going to buy this for me and put me in a new car and my payment's going to go down. I'm like, I'm in. So
Kia's known for that. They're big for doing that stuff.
Yeah. So
I still get
Kias. Think about that.
Emails from the Soul I got from my brother-in-law's place. Oh, you still have your Soul? Want to trade that in? No, I don't want a car payment right now. Nope.
I know that's.
We're
I
good.
could not
change for
afford a
us.
car payment right now, so
We haven't had a car payment in 3 years.
Oh, I always have them. So
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
because I don't ever keep a car for more than like 3 or 4 years. So
let's see.
Yeah,
I
you get
finished
bored.
paying off. I finished paying off my car 4 or 5 months ago. I'm really kind of hoping to get 5 more years out of this car at least. So,
Yeah.
because I've only just passed 70,000 miles on it. My commute now is a tenth of a mile. So,
You won't even have
I'm
a
really
chance to
hoping this
warm
thing
up in the
lasts.
snow.
Yeah. I mean,
Especially since, well, see, that's actually something that's going to be a little, well, maybe not, because, I couldn't use the garage at the house after the garage door got slammed, and that garage door was only just fixed a week ago. So,
jeez.
That's because
yeah,
you moved out there like, sweet.
Now we'll
Garage
fix
door
this
fixed
shit.
now.
no, it had to do with like the people that they just like couldn't get the garage door in, supposedly, like whatever. But my point is that supposedly. I mean, but the point is that my car did actually spend most of this past winter sitting outside, and it wasn't so much of an issue. So hopefully it won't be, because I mean, that's what it's going to be doing again now. I mean, I don't have a garage, so we'll deal with that.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
I'm sure we will. So
yeah. So I mean, like my Soul is a 2012. It's going to be 10 years old. I paid it off a little early in like 2017. So I haven't had a car payment since December of 2017. But my car, I think my car has like 76,000 miles and some change on it right now.
Nice.
It's not a lot for almost 10 years old. So
No,
try to keep it that way.
Yeah.
Try to keep it that way. I'm trying to buy like a goddamn house or a townhouse or something in the next 2 years. I'm not trying to have a car payment. That is like ruined shit for me.
It's one of those things, like I said, we haven't had a car payment since 2017 also. So it's been, 2018. So it's been like 3 years, and it's like, we're not going to get Jill a new car, even though that's where I wanted to go. But we decided it was better to get a family car, which is the one that I usually drive, the bigger family vehicle. So we just thought it was a better investment for us to do that instead of replace her small car with a mid-size car. So, because it's just,
I mean, you got a good vehicle too. Those are nice. Those are nice SUVs, and it's a Honda too. You can't go wrong with them.
Well, yeah.
Like
after I was looking at the Acadias and stuff like that, and I talked to my mechanic, my local mechanic that I always go to, and he's like, I wouldn't suggest any GM products right now. They all seem to be coming in with a lot of electronical problems. I'm like, okay. He's like,
I've heard about
Hondas
different recalls and stuff.
Yeah, he's like, I would recommend Hondas and Toyotas. I was like, okay, no problem. I'll end up paying about another $1,000 to $2,000 more for the same year and package, but it'll be worth it. So
I've always said, like, I felt like I have to drive an American car because they're the only ones that are built for bigger people. But after like we were in Disney World a few years ago and I drove that one Nissan car, I said, I guess I could look at Nissans. So, but again, I'm hoping to not have to,
I would
look at another car for another several years. So
as long as you don't go up to their midsize, their Pathfinders and stuff like that, because for some reason they don't know how to build those anymore. Like they since my year and above, like they always build them with problems. Something's wrong.
Well, that's what's kind of funny, because it was a Pathfinder that I had when we were on our Disney World trip, which I thought was actually pretty good. But then, like I said, that was 4 years ago. So.
Yeah,
maybe they were better then. I have no idea. So
yeah, they had a couple years where they did build them well, but then again, now all of a sudden they're having problems again. So it's like they just reliability. That's the one thing I've learned. Reliability. That's the key word when you're buying used. How reliable of a vehicle? When is it going to start nickeling and diming you?
Yeah. Pat, just wait a couple years and just get the
Oh,
Cybertruck.
yeah, like I said-
just get the Tesla Cybertruck. You'll be good,
Oh
bro.
my
Oh,
God, shut
yeah.
up. Nobody's buying that shit except for the rich and famous, just so they can look cool.
Oh man.
I
When
hate
I-
to see
That rocking a
Teslas driving around. I'm
Cybertruck.
like, those are gay. Like, take away your gay ass Tesla.
It was, and Pat, that's maybe not so much for you because you don't, but like these two went to Cedar Point a couple years ago with me. It was a really weird day when I went there the other day. Like the crate. Remember? Do you guys remember Steel Vengeance? That's the one Mickey lost his wallet on.
Mhm.
That ride's fucking nuts. It was an hour wait for that, and there was an hour and a half wait for the Raptor. I'm like, what is going on here?
Wow, really?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't go on the Raptor when the wait was an hour and a half. By the time we were gonna go on it, we walked by it and said, "This, I'm not doing this." But then when we were leaving, it was only like 20 minutes.
There you
So
go.
then we went on, but it was just a really weird day. Like the wait times were like all over the place the whole day, and we took my friend Danny. We took his younger son Mason. We took him, and he just turned 13, and he's obsessed with Cedar Point. We took him. The first ride we went on was the Millennium. He doesn't tell us until after we get off the ride that he's never even been on it before.
Nice.
Hey, I mean,
So, I mean, he loved it, but he had never been at that or Steel Vengeance, and he got on both. And he just, we just couldn't believe he was like, oh, I'm just going to go on this. I'm not going to tell these guys I've never been on it. And that was like what we started the day with.
hey, get the good shit out of the way and make them go through that stuff. Then all the rest are easy.
Yeah.
Like the one ride that at the end of my bachelor party, Jeremy, didn't you were up front with me and we kept going on the Gatekeeper, right? Did you go on that with me a couple times? Because you didn't go on the.
I went on it once. Yeah,
That ride was broke down. That ride's been broke down the whole summer. The Gatekeeper. It has not been open the whole summer.
Really?
Oh my God.
Yep.
I think that day for your bachelor party, I went on that like 5 or 6 times.
Yes, we went on it a bunch of times while everybody went back to go on the Dragster. A bunch of us went on the Gatekeeper a bunch of times. That
The line wasn't even long. It was like 3-minute wait to get on the roller coaster. I was like, fuck that shit. I'm gonna keep going on this thing. This is cool. Okay.
So, and I'm going to Kings Island in 2 weeks with Zach, and I haven't been to Kings Island since like probably 1998. So.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
So there's a ton of new stuff that I've never been on in that park. So
Well, and that's another Cedar Fair.
yes,
place,
yes,
right? Yeah.
yes. So
I'd like to say that all Cedar Fair owned amusement parks are good, but they're not.
well, I've been at the one by you guys. It's fine. It's passable, but it's not. It's not Cedar Point. It's probably not even Kings Island. So.
Now, a lot of people get excited for Dorney Park, and I'm just like,
I was gonna say I wasn't sure which one he was.
It's doable.
okay.
Hey,
It's doable.
I would take my kids there.
Yeah.
I'm always proud to say, for some reason, I've lived here 33 years, and I've still never been to Dorney Park.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah, and the main reason for that is because
That probably
it
can't
never.
fit on half the rides.
Well, I probably can't.
No, you can't. You probably can't.
Yeah. It never held any interest from my dad. My dad's never been a roller coaster person, really.
Okay.
He never had any great desire to go there, and my mother's not going to take us to an amusement park by herself. So
That makes sense.
It's just one of those things, really, more so than anything else. It's not that I have anything against the place, because how could I? I've never been there.
Yeah.
So
It's not a terrible amusement park. It's just that the only way they get new rides in is by tearing down an old one. Like
Yeah.
they have absolutely no room to build. They can't go over a certain height because of airline restrictions, because of the flight paths and stuff like that. The park could be probably really, really good if they had the extra room to build and were allowed to go over certain heights. But because there's so many restrictions on it, the park is only ever going to be so big. And essentially, if there is a good ride, they'll keep that ride. If it's a ride that's not doing so well, they'll take it down and put something new in. And pretty much the park doesn't change. It doesn't really change that much. It's the same park year after year after year, where like some of the other ones like Cedar Point will they most recently they put a new ride in, but that was revamping an old ride.
Yes.
Prior to that, they did put a completely new ride in, which I can't think of the name of that one right now. But
the Gatekeeper. The Gatekeeper was a brand new ride. They did not turn something into that. That was a new ride.
But there was another ride before that or after that they put in. I thought. I just don't know the name of it.
Well, they changed the stand-up thing to the Rougarou. They did that in the last 5 or 6 years too.
Yeah, so, it might be older. It might be before that. So I'm not sure when the Gatekeeper was put in, but I remember my brother showing me footage of it and stuff like that as it was being built, because he's like, as soon as like a new ride goes in at Cedar Point, he's like all over knows everything about it.
So Chris is like Zach. Yeah. Chris is like Zach. Okay.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's a roller coaster enthusiast. Like, I mean, granted, he doesn't go all over the country and stuff like that, but he pays attention to new coasters going in different places and stuff. Like, ooh, I want to ride that one.
Yeah. I mean, we went to King's Dominion back in June. It's a nice park.
Better than Dorney?
It's definitely better than Dorney.
Okay.
I will say that.
Okay.
It's a big park. 2 of the rides I wanted to go on, they were broke down at the time. They weren't working. All the other roller coasters we went on, the good food selection there. I mean, overall, a nice park. As far as my favorite parks, I wouldn't put it in my top 5. It's kind of like, well, be in the middle of the pack as far as parks are concerned, as far as amusement parks are concerned.
See, and it's funny because when you talk about amusement parks, like, I know that technically, that Disney is not
it's a theme park.
It's a theme park, not an amusement park. But still,
yeah, I don't put it in that category.
I know, but still, and that's why, like my brother Chris, he doesn't like. It's not that he doesn't like Disney. It's not what he wants.
It's not what I want either.
So he's like, I'll skip Disney. I'd rather go to this place,
Universal.
Where I would prefer to go to Disney, but that's because I like the Disney stuff. I like the atmospheric stuff of Disney and everything that goes along with Disney. That's more my flavor. Not that I don't enjoy the roller coasters, because I definitely do, but I definitely enjoy that more.
Well, but as we get older, Jeremy, my friend Danny is a perfect example. He can't do all the coasters anymore. So I'm like, why don't you let me take your kid so I can actually go on the rides with him, instead of you taking him and just sitting there and watching him go on all these rides. We all went on everything, basically. So, But Danny's my age, and he can't do all the coasters anymore. He just can't do it anymore. And I remember at my bachelor party, you're like, at 5 o'clock, you're like, I'm done.
Yeah. It's one of those things. I think I just need to start taking Advil for when I get a headache, and take Dramamine before I start the day.
Yes.
Like, double it up, man. Just hit me with the stuff.
Extra strength. Give me the goods.
Because it's a headache that always hits, and then after the headache, then I start to feel like I'm going to get sick. And it's like, it's no fun, because I still want to go, but I'm just like, if I go on another one, I'm going to feel like shit, like, until I go to bed. And I don't want to feel that way, so I just stop, which sucks.
I mean, that's it's smart to stop instead of making it worse.
Yeah, well,
so I don't stop.
Yeah, I mean, my problem when I last went to Disney was just getting exhausted. Yeah, just from the sheer, because those parks are a hike, especially Epcot. I didn't have any problems with any rides that I went on as far as feeling like uncomfortable. Like, I went on Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, wasn't really an issue. I knew I wasn't gonna do good on Space Mountain, so I didn't even try.
Yeah.
Because when I was on that last back in 2007, the problem is that because that's an indoor coaster and it's like in a smaller thing. Like, have you ever seen the inside of Space Mountain with the lights on? It's freaky.
Yeah.
But the problem is that I'm too tall for the cars. It has nothing to do with my weight. It's just my height, because it's like it's a kind of car where you get in the car and then it's like a restraint that you pull up, and it's supposed to kind of pull up to your midsection. But this only came up about as far as like my inner thighs.
Don't worry, you're good. You won't fall out.
Well, yeah, I wasn't worried about that, but the problem is that Space Mountain, it's all twists and turns. So every twist and turn, I've got the huge ass restraint that's basically just going, just jamming right into my legs. So that part was painful. So I didn't even try to go on Space Mountain when we were there last. But
You
the other rides, I mean, like Expedition Everest was a little rough. The Rock and Roller Coaster was okay, but like the rides weren't hurting me. It was just the sheer amount of walking because I'm carrying around too much weight anymore. So.
My friend Eli couldn't get on the Wicked Twister because he was too tall because your feet dangle, and they said his feet could hit when we were going back and forth, so they wouldn't let him on that ride.
Oh, and of course, that was the other problem I had with Disney last time was I couldn't go on the main Avatar ride because I couldn't get. Again, I think it was more of a height thing than a weight thing. You have to sit in these like stationary bikes, but you have to be able to put your feet back far enough that they can like lock you into place. Mm-hmm. And that was the problem. I could not put my feet back far enough where they could get them locked into place because tops of my legs, like the stationary bike thing has like a big thing across the top and everything, and I couldn't get the tops of my legs in underneath those, and also have my legs extended back in a way that that they could lock me in and everything. So again,
just imagining Pat. I wasn't told I need to be a fucking contortionist to get on this goddamn ride. What the fuck's wrong with you fuckers?
I did almost feel like saying something like that. I really did.
Because what's wrong with you guys?
Yeah, it's like you really didn't warn that people with larger height might have issues with this damn thing.
Yeah,
they have a big sign out front that says if you can't do this, like it's a picture of like a person like doing a back bend with their feet tucked in their mouth or some shit like that, then don't try this ride.
Yeah, you can't put your body in this position. This ride's not for you.
Considering I was in line for that ride for 2.5 hours,
I would have been pissed.
Something like that. They made it up to me as best they could. They gave me like some free fast passes, so.
Yeah, still though. When we went to Kings Dominion, I was telling AJ this. It was the first time ever with an amusement park where it said like a height restriction, like if you're X amount of inches tall, you can't go on this, or this. And I was like, oh shit. I'm like, wow, it's the first time I've seen that before. It was kind of odd, like all the craziness that these rides consist of anymore.
So you always see the signs about you have to be this tall to ride this ride. But I've never seen things about if you are this tall, you will be unable to ride this ride.
They had that there.
Until the Wicked Twister with Eli, I had never had that happen with somebody where they were too tall to get on a ride.
I thought he was about to say, I've never had that problem. It was going to be like, yeah, duh. Neither have I.
I went on. The one time in my life I went on Space Mountain, that was the biggest disappointment I've ever been on a ride. That ride was so lame to me, and I was so underwhelmed, and I'm like, this is garbage. So
again, it's a very old ride for one thing, and again,
I went on it. This is 1999 probably when I went on it, so it's not like I went on it the last 20 years. So this was 99 when I went on it.
I don't know that they've changed it around much. Basically, what I just mean by that is that the ride's existed since the 70s. I don't think that they've ever really changed the overall design or plot of it. The whole premise of the ride. The whole premise of the ride is that you're supposed to be in outer space and not really being able to see where you're going. So that's why it's dark and it's just twists and turns and stuff. There's no loops. It's not incredibly fast.
Well, we were talking about this on the last one, and I told Pat we took Abby, my youngest daughter, on that, and she scared the crap out of me because I told her, don't put your hands up, hold on to the lap bar in front of you, and she immediately, as soon as we started going, put her hands up, and she's really. She's real thin and was even smaller then. I mean, I was like freaked out because I thought she was going to fall out the freaking car because it didn't it only goes down so far and it didn't tighten up that it was super tight on her. I was like, oh my God, I'm trying to reach for her and stuff.
Yeah. And I think they even tell you to not to really put your hands up on that because for one thing, it's pointless to put your hands up on that thing because you can't see where you're going. So it's not like when you're on an outdoor coaster, you're all like,
Tell an excited kid that. Put your arms down, damn it.
And there are also places where on that ride where, as far as I know, conceivably, you could hit the track. There could be track above you that you can't see, and you could hit it.
I hold on I hold on all rides now. I don't put my hands up. I don't do any of that shit no more. I hold on.
I never put my hands up because I just always thought it was like, look at me, and I've just never been that type of person. So.
No, okay. Never the look at me person. Like, look away, don't stare at me. I'm a hideous monster.
That was before I got fat.
Oh my god.
Ogres have layers.
Lord have mercy. Lord.
All right, let's talk a little sports.
Let's talk about this embarrassment from this morning.
What embarrassment is that? What is
The
basketball team lost to France. I saw.
Yes.
I didn't see the
Fucking
game.
horrible.
I just saw the result, and I'm like, I think the game's much more international than it was
It is
30 years ago. Like when the Dream Team steamrolled everybody.
But nobody has a whole team of NBA players except for us.
Right. So I think it's, and somebody might say, well, of course, all these NBA guys, they're, they haven't all played together and blah, 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 blah. But just stop making excuses. You got too much.
It's not a good excuse.
You've got too much talent to be making excuses.
Well, here's the simple fact. Okay. It's essentially the super team of super teams because they are all NBA athletes. They're all, for the most part, superstars on their individual teams. But the simple fact is they don't know how to play as a team.
Nope.
Basketball is a goddamn team sport, and you will not change that just because you have superstars on it. That's why some of these super teams that come up in the NBA anymore don't fucking work because they don't know how to play a team. Yes, they know how to play individually and play very well individually, but as a team, they don't play well together. And they have big holes and big problems. That's what's happening with the USA team this year because they have lost multiple times to teams that they probably shouldn't lose to.
They have. They lost 2 exhibition. I mean, they didn't have their whole team during the exhibition season, but they still shouldn't have lost. They still shouldn't have lost to Nigeria no matter what.
And then you have guys.
The excuse is horrible.
Like Ben Simmons that pulls out, doesn't even want to play in the Olympics because he's a douche. And why is LeBron not
for Canada anyways?
Well, but why is LeBron not on the team? Why did he not go? I'm sure he said he has to go.
He said he's done with the Olympics.
And as much as I like to take pot shots at LeBron, I give LeBron the benefit of the doubt. He did just play. The way they did the season this year was rough for somebody like LeBron who played all the way through the finals last year. Like the way they did the season this year, so I don't blame him for not going this time. Like I would rest if I was him. So
I mean, LeBron's kind of done his Olympic
right, and he has right.
Yeah, he's been. Here's the thing. Like, I don't care who the NBA players. Like, whoever they selected, you're NBA players. They don't play as a team. I watched. I got the alert on my phone this morning that they had lost. I'm like, oh my god, are you fucking serious? So they showed the game. I
just saw the highlights. I saw the highlights where they had bricked about 4 threes when they could have taken the lead in the last 30 seconds.
And
I heard about that, yeah.
And that's the whole big deal. Like I watched the game then. They played good in the first half. They had the little spurt to kind of go back and forth in the third quarter, a little bit in the beginning of the fourth quarter, but they have these random lapses in fucking defense. When you have guys, I don't care if you're not the greatest like one-on-one defender in regards to NBA players, but play some team defense to make these stops. And it's horrible when you brick all those threes when you're playing fucking international. Drive to the fucking hole. Like the way it's set up, it's meant for slashers. I mean, D-Wade did it. Kobe did it all the fucking time when he was playing. Fucking take it to the hole. But yet we have good 3-point shooters. I don't care who's on the team. Let's just start jacking up threes. Durant's 6'10". Take the shit to the fucking hole. Get it and one. Do something. Like stop the clock. Do something. They don't play properly in regards to that.
You gotta dunk that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and international play is very physical. So if you guys don't want to be physical and you're going to jack up threes, you're just going to fuck yourselves. And they're going to lose. They're not going to medal if they don't get their shit together. Their defense was better Their defense
That
against
would be
France
the
is way
ultimate
better
embarrassment.
than their exhibition games. But still, their offense, the way they ran it was fucking horrible.
Well, that's another reason why I love. Like, I saw a post and I saw it on Facebook and I had to laugh. They're like, the original Dream Team would get beat by, I think it was the LeBron Dream Team, the first Dream Team with LeBron.
No, absolutely
I'm like,
not. They wouldn't lose to any of them.
No, and that's the thing. Like, it made me laugh because the post said something about like it was a bunch of overrated superstars on this team. I'm like, one, no, they weren't overrated, and two, they had to whoop their asses because they played defense and they played as a team. Like, that's why they won. It wasn't because the international players weren't as good. I mean, granted that it was a part of it. Okay, there is a lot more international players in the NBA now than there was, and there's a lot more international professionals now, where there's professional leagues all over Europe now. But they've always existed, just not at the level that they do now. But the simplest fact comes down to is, one, they played team basketball, the original Dream Team, and two, they were freaking physical. Like, they were NBA superstars, just like any other Dream Team, but they played physical and they played freaking team ball. You cannot play an international play and not play team ball. They'll eat you.
They got a bunch. Joe. They got 3 guys on their team that play defense. They have Drew Holiday, they have Bam Adebayo, and they have Draymond Green. That's it.
Yeah, you got to play defense. That was my other thing with the original Dream Team. They played defense. Defense was ridiculous.
I get really sick of people who really want to say, like, oh, the original Dream Team would have lost to this team. No. The original Dream Team was the greatest collection of talent in any sport at any time ever. You had it was a team completely full of Hall of Famers and Christian Laettner. Except for Christian Laettner. No offense to Laettner. I'm not trying to single him out. It's just that, you know.
Oh, I am.
But you had so many of those guys were in their primes.
Yeah,
the only two guys on that team that you could say were past their primes were Bird, and that was because of injuries, and Magic, and that was because, you know, he had over 10 years, and unfortunately, of course, he just had the HIV diagnosis and everything. I'm sorry. You're telling I like
LeBron guys were
for the most part, and I like a lot of these guys, but you're telling me these guys are going to be a team with prime Jordan, Ewing, Stockton, Malone, Barkley, Robinson, Drexler? Come on.
Nope, not at all. Not even close.
I think the best, obviously the 92, and then I think the 96 team was really good. And then the Redeem Team, which is the one with Kobe and LeBron and Wade. I think those were the best Dream Teams I've seen, those 3 that I just said. So.
Redeem Team was the 08 team, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that team had that was.
Yeah, because I know it was 04 when they fucked up. So
yes,
that was like Kobe, LeBron, D Wade, Chris Bosh, Carmelo Anthony. The guy who played for Illinois, I can't remember his name.
Aaron Williams.
Yeah. Trying to remember, there was other people on that team. They had a really good deep team too.
Because they played defense and they did all the everything. Like, Carmelo's like considered maybe the best international player the U.S. has ever had, because he always plays really well when he played in international play. Like, Carmelo, I guess he's a Hall of Famer, maybe, to me, but he is the best international player we've had. Like, numbers statistically, he's the best international player that we've had. So,
and the thing is, like, the excuse that not having like Middleton and Holiday and Booker and all that jazz, that's an excuse. You got KD and you got Dame and you got Bam and you got Draymond Green. Like, you got other guys, you got other people playing supporting roles. Like, there's absolutely no reason. I don't care if you're 5 guys short. There's no fucking reason for that team to be losing in any manner. And all these European teams play with each other, you know, play team ball, you know, and during their off seasons and international play, and these international NBA players in their off season, they go back to their home countries mostly and play with these guys. So they're playing true team ball, where the NBA players are just trying to find their groove. It's just they got to show more. They got to come out and show more. Because if they don't medal, yeah, it's going to be horrible.
And at that point, then they might as well just go back to let the college kids play. If like at that point, you might as well just let the college kids play.
Well, I was going to say, like, the last time the U.S. didn't medal. Actually, I'm not even sure if it was that they didn't medal. They didn't win the gold. Was back in
when they won the bronze. The bronze.
No,
medal?
that was 2004, but it was 1988. Is that I was thinking of, and
but they also
there was drastic changes in after that, which was okay. We're going to let the pros play.
Yeah, they did. They finished like 7th at one of the world championships, though. They finished worse, like at one of the world championships. They finished like 7th.
And the only reason that they started letting NBA players play is because international ball players were professionals. They were not college kids. They were already professionals, so they wanted to level the playing field, which it's caught up to the U.S. Like the U.S. is not the great dominant basketball group that they used to. They could be, but they're not anymore because of the way they
put
play.
the G League players in there if that's the case.
The way that the NBA players play basketball now on a regular has more turned into, not in it but there are aspects of it that look more like a street ball game than an actual organized NBA game.
I mean, I believe that if they would have gotten all the people their first choices at every position, if they would have gotten the 12 guys they wanted, they wouldn't have lost that game today. I'm not saying they would have won by 40. They wouldn't have lost that game today if they would have got Steph Curry and Anthony Davis and LeBron and the people that they wanted to go. I mean, JaVale McGee would be one of my last choices for a guy I would take. So they do have at least one guy on that team who is a last resort. I don't think that they would have blown them out by 30, but I do think they would have won if they would have had all the people that they wanted to go. But a lot of people said no for injuries or for rest or whatever. So COVID.
Yeah. See, that's another thing too. It's like if they do not win or not medal, and it's like, you look at they didn't get this guy and that guy and that guy because these guys didn't want to play, and if COVID's the reason, it's like, you kind of go,
right.
Still not an excuse.
I kind of get
excuse.
that. I'm just saying I fully understand somebody saying, yeah, I don't want to go play in the Olympics this year because of COVID. Let's
move on to something that's a little bit more fun to talk about with the Olympics. Women's softball. The women's softball team is kicking ass. They're
pretty
dominant.
They are. They won yesterday 2-1. Weren't they supposed to play today, I think?
I don't know. I think pretty much basketball and softball and baseball and all those sports that are like in round robin tournaments and that are playing daily.
I know I've been watching the 3-on-3 women's basketball.
Yeah, how about that? That's interesting.
Which is cool because they've had to play they played 2 games today and they had to play 2 games yesterday.
They played 15, I think they'd play to.
It's kind of street ball, so it's ones and twos for points, and you play till whoever gets to 21 first wins. But there is a time limit. So if you don't get to 21, whoever's winning at the end of the time limit wins the game.
Right, and they have they have a 12-second shot clock, I think it is.
Yeah, I think it's 12 or 14 seconds. I think it's 14 seconds. Yeah, it's really short, but I mean it's half court 3-on-3. But
so they're playing huck and chuck.
It's been some good basketball. I will say that.
Yeah, and they are using women's WNBA players, so they are professional athletes in that sense.
I would rather play 3-on-3 than full court. I'm a better 3-on-3 player anyway. So
I don't know if they have a men's 3-on-3.
They do.
They do. The U.S.
They didn't make it. They didn't qualify. They lost in the qualifying game, and they were favorites to medal too. I don't remember who was on the team.
Robbie Hummel from Purdue. I know he was on there. Robbie Hummel from Purdue was on there.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, they blew it. They blew it big time. Yeah. Pretty disappointing.
So freaking awesome. So I was looking at the medal count right now, and they are, let's see, China leads with 12. United States has 10, and then ROC, which I'm not sure who the ROC is. Somebody help me.
Russia.
That's Russia because Russia
Russian
is
Olympic Committee.
Russia's officially banned
Yeah.
I believe, because of their multitude of doping scandals over the last several years.
Yeah.
So
we must get stronger.
It's
they're Russian athletes, but they had to be tested.
And it's like, so I think it's like they're not like officially like, you know, representative of the country, and it's kind of also like I want to say it was back in the 92 Olympics, because of the collapse of the Soviet Union and everything. It wasn't the Soviet Union anymore, but it also wasn't Russia. They were called like the unified team, and I think they represented. I think it also still represented not just Russia, but also some of the former Soviet countries, which hadn't really kind of like fully established themselves yet and everything. So it's almost like a situation kind of like that, where it's like it's the country, but not quite.
So they talked about it last night on TV. So they're allowed to use Russia's colors, of course, because they're from Russia, but they're not allowed to have Russia anywhere on their gear. It just has to say ROC, and they're representing Russia Olympic Committee. They're not allowed to represent Russia, the country. And I believe
it's more or less that they're punishing the country, not the athletes.
It reminds me of a Jay-Z song, the ROC,
but they had to get tested.
ROC.
I know. Yeah, they had to get tested though, because of all the crap that they were getting away with, or all the other shit they were doing.
It's like, we can't win, we can't beat anybody. All right, how do we win? Steroids. Give everybody steroids. Human growth hormones. Let's do it.
It's not just like steroids. It's just the whole the whole concept of doping. There was a really good documentary film that was made several years ago, which also won the Academy Award for Best Documentary, called Icarus, like the mythological figure.
Yes, the dude with the wings. Yes.
Yeah. I watched that a number of years ago on Netflix. I don't know if it's still available, but if it is, it's definitely worth watching. Mm-hmm. Because it started off as it is still available. Yeah. It basically started off as this guy just wanting to get information about like what doping is, how you do it, if it would be recommended for somebody like him who was like a cyclist, and was just looking to just be able to cycle easier, basically. Yeah, so he got hooked up. Yeah, so he got hooked up with this guy who then it turns out was like basically
doper.
No, it was nothing to do with Lance Armstrong. He was basically Putin's like go-to doping expert, and he then basically blew the whistle on what they were doing in Russia and everything, and then it basically became, this guy's life is in danger because Putin is a dictator.
No, he's not. He's the president of Russia.
Who doesn't
dictator? What's that?
Who doesn't take kindly to people raining on his shit? So, it's if you get a chance to watch it, I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, no, it's funny because and not to really get political, but it's just funny. People think we have a problem with racism here. They should go over to Russia, where they have a huge problem with KKK and white Nazis and all that shit. They have a really big problem with that kind of stuff over there.
It's unfortunately that kind of extremism is on the rise in a lot of Europe too. Yeah. Russia, it's always been like that, but Russia has always been a very isolated country throughout its entire history. So. That's why they were so backwards for so long, and I also feel like that's probably one of the reasons why they, succumbed to communism and everything, was because it was the only way for them to become really relevant on the world stage and everything. So,
but it was interesting. I saw a program, and the program that you're talking about, I've seen bits and pieces of it, never watched the whole thing, but I was watching another program. It was about like the the neo-Nazis and everything that goes along with the white supremacy over there, and it's like very scary to be either homosexual and black over there. It's like it's very dangerous to be either of those two things over there, because if you are and one of those white extremist groups over there finds you, they pretty much kill you, and nobody says anything about it, which
Nothing
is
happens.
Really freaking scary.
Yeah, I mean,
okay, well, that person's dead.
Yeah, it's like there's a reason you never really see black Russians. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really trying to make a joke about that, but that's really what it is. So
yeah. So it's just like it's just interesting when you think of the things that have gone on in the United States over the last couple of years compared to how it really could be if we were in a different country. So it just makes you think. But back to the Olympics, where I was going with this and the gold medals and stuff like that. Well, the medals in general. Before we got on that tangent of the ROC, the ROC has got 7. Japan's got 6, and then South Korea rounds out the top 10 or top 5, I should say, with 5, and they're tied with Italy right now with 5. So
it says Ledecky lost to
she got silver.
So she's one of the people that could clean up at this Olympics. So
she just didn't win.
Yeah,
she has like 8 other races. She's in a lot of the different swim races.
Yeah, Dressel hasn't raced yet tonight. I'm waiting to see what he does, because he's another guy that's supposed to clean up. So
right. And we're going to see a lot of things happen as swimming takes off, as track and field takes off. Like that's a lot of U.S. medals come in track and field.
I mean, they're right, and the track and field's always week 2. So it's like swimming is always week 1 and track's always week 2. So
I mean. Biles is going to win. I watched Biles, and wasn't even at her best tonight. She still is better than everybody else.
Well, she still got good scores.
That was like the other big story of today was that
she had a big mishap in her floor routine.
She definitely had a mishap.
Was
but
that the team standings? They're behind the Russians. And I think it's the first time they've trailed in an international competition as a team since 2010.
She still scored over 14 for her floor, but she had a big 0.30 deduction because
she stepped out of bounds.
Not just step out of
bounds. Her whole body went out of bounds.
She overpowered the move and she slid away off the whole thing. And we're like, oh shit.
But that's she because her difficulty of everything so crazy, it doesn't but she's gonna win every event possibly when they do the individual thing. So
and they're still in it for the team, so they'll be fine.
Yeah, the women's US Olympics gymnastics team, their uniforms were made by a company in Pennsylvania this year.
Yeah,
fun, interesting.
I wasn't a big fan of the Ralph Lauren outfits for opening ceremony. Wasn't a big fan.
I honestly still couldn't believe that they did the opening ceremony. I understand it's you kind of sort of have to, but at the same time, it's there's nobody in the place to watch it. I mean, it's kind of meaningless.
It's for everybody on TV. That's all.
I know, but it's even with it, it's always much better with people actually able to watch it live.
I mean that wrestling was way better with a crowd. I mean, anything's better with a crowd.
Yeah, I mean it's just.
Well, I
understand why they had to cancel spectators, but it's that made me a lot less to watch the Olympics.
I don't usually like the wrestling crowd, but it's still better with a crowd than it is without a crowd. So.
See, for me,
it's harder to fake crowd noise when there's an actual crowd.
For the Olympics, the crowd is more for the athletes there. It's not really us on TV. Us watching it at home, it's different. They can't hear us. Having the crowd for them is one thing. If you have for the swim teams are out there watching their fellow swimmers, compete, they're allowed in there for certain sports, but it is what it is. Just have to keep moving.
All the athletes should just have called up like every baseball player and said, "So what was it like playing in front of nobody?"
Pretty much.
It sucked.
I just need to get an idea of like how easily you can hear things in the stands that you wouldn't otherwise hear.
Yeah, volleyball is the other sport. I'm a huge volleyball fan, so I like watching. I watch a lot of the volleyball indoor and the beach volleyball matches. I have fun watching that.
What was this beach volleyball controversy about the uniforms? Which country was that?
No, that wasn't the beach volleyball.
That was beach handball.
Yes, beach handball.
Oh, beach handball.
And
okay.
that was the Swedish team, I believe.
Yeah, Swedish team, and I think the Americans as well, got fined $1,500 for not wearing bikini bottoms. They wore the short bottoms. Like, really? Well, they have to wear bikini bottoms?
Let's make this as sexist as we possibly can.
Well, yeah, and the rule went into 2012 is when that rule went into as far as what the uniform requirement was for beach handball. They're not allowed more than 10 millimeters of material on the side of the uniform on their bottoms.
It's ridiculous.
10 millimeters? Like, are we putting them in G-strings? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to sound like a pig here, but...
Do the men have to play that way?
No.
That's hoping so.
I'm gonna
get them
like
Speedos out, baby.
Okay, but don't get me wrong. When I'm watching women play beach sports, it's nice to see them in a bikini. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, as
of course you're not.
But
I get it.
I also understand their point of we're not here to be sexual objects. We're here to represent our country in a sport and win a medal.
Yeah.
I get that. So if they want to wear fucking shorts and a bikini top, I'm not going to argue with that either. I'm not going to be like, okay, well, sure, yeah, go for it, man, whatever.
Yeah, it's so stupid, so goddamn stupid.
Well, yeah, I have to only assume the Olympic Committee is made up of a whole bunch of horny ass old men. So
probably
hence why they made that rule of the 10 millimeters of material on the side of the bikini bottom for the women. Like,
this makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's like super specific.
And one other thing in addition to probably being a bunch of men like since it's a
that's dying over there.
No. Since it is an international sports organization, you also have to immediately assume that it's corrupt as fuck.
Oh, so, it is.
Every international sports committee is, whether it's FIFA or the IOC, yeah.
Especially FIFA.
Well, of course, especially FIFA. I mean, you can't trust any of them.
But yeah,
skateboarding was fun too. It was fun to see that whole aspect in the Olympics.
I thought that was interesting, that skateboarding. So there's 3 new sports this year. 4 new sports. Okay, 4. So I knew there was 3. I missed the 4th. So there's skateboarding, which is pretty cool. There's like speed climbing or something like that. That's kind of
competitive climbing.
And the third one that I knew about, which I thought was really cool, is cheer is now part of the Olympic sports.
I was not aware of that. I didn't realize skateboarding was. I didn't realize skateboarding was new. I guess I thought
maybe it's not for this year. Maybe cheer is not this year. Maybe it'll be the next Olympics.
Surfing and karate are the other 2.
Karate.
Surfing and karate are the other 2 new ones.
Karate.
I've watched the skateboard format that they had in the Olympics because I do the World Championships and stuff like that on ESPN and whatnot on ESPN too. That was fun to watch skateboarding. It was good. Tony Hawk was there, cheering on those dudes. Of course he was going to be there for skateboarding, being in there for the first time.
All right, so cheerleading is not in the 2020 Olympic Games.
I think I've heard of the
future Olympics.
Yeah.
So I apologize. That was not one of the 4. My apologies.
Because they just brought baseball back for the first time since 2008, I think it was.
I can't believe they ever took baseball out. That didn't make any sense to me. Why would it not an Olympic sport? I mean, there's almost every country plays baseball.
It wasn't not to the same extent as like basketball and soccer. So
that can actually segue to the terrible logo for the new Cleveland baseball team. So,
they did it. They finally
Gar-
did it. They caved.
You know, I got
Guardians.
to admit that I really felt like the name change, should have happened and everything. And I guess like there's some like historical context for them picking that name and everything. But when I got the alert the other day and saw that was their new name, my first thought was, "Are you even trying?
There's a stupid
You couldn't come up with something better."
Stupid fucking bridge called the Guardian Bridge that's like right by the stadium, because I saw it the other night and I'm just like, this is what we named the team after, this fucking
Right,
bridge.
and I believe there's a historical context to that, which I don't know exactly what it is, so I'm not going to try to say what it is. Still, my whole point is just that, like,
I was disappointed that my choice for their name, the Pieces of Shit, didn't get any love. Damn it!
Yeah, because that was going to be their next name.
I'm shocked.
A giant turtle on the side of their helmet.
So one team is down, and now we have another team. Let's see what the Washington football team ends up becoming next year.
I said if they change it, because they're still like, well, we don't know if we're going to change it.
The Guardians.
But there's another logo where it's like a G and a baseball and another G. It's like, it looks like a bridge, kind of.
Yeah,
I saw that one too.
Let me see if I can find that.
You know that they're basically just going to try to hopefully just like start selling like Guardians of the Galaxy themed merchandise or something like that.
They would
scroll to the top. What you had, Jeremy, just click on images and it should show it.
Oh, okay.
They would try to cut some kind of deal with Disney or
maybe
just
that one, with the baseball in the middle.
Or they're maybe just hoping that people will do like bootleg shit,
That looks like Angels in the Outfield.
That's sweet.
Oh, you mean the Disney
It's a G grabbing the ball. G ball.
The Disney Angel uniforms that they wore back in the mid-90s when Disney bought the team. Those were awful.
That's funny.
Listen, it's the funny thing about it is like no matter who likes the name or who hates it, 5 years from now we're going to be so used to it, no one's going to get two shits.
Yeah,
I mean you're probably right, but
and that's fine. But like I was saying about like the Washington football team, I said, well, I hope they don't just go and change their name to something like that just is like obvious and easy, like the Defenders, because. It's like you got to come up with something better. That's all I'm saying.
They could have been like the Washington Rebels or something like that.
No, that makes no sense.
I just don't want them to be the Warriors. As long as they're not the Warriors, I don't want that name being.
They've pretty much already said that they're not going to be
doing that,
and they shouldn't for multiple. They shouldn't for multiple reasons. So
the dumpster fires.
Yeah, I think the Warriors was brought up, and they were like, "Yeah, no, we're not using that."
Well, I think a lot of people were afraid that they were going to because, it's like that obviously could be argued to have like a Native American connotation too. So it's like, oh, okay, so you switch from a racial slur to a non-racial slur that could mean pretty much the same thing. So it's like, well, you didn't really learn anything from this little ordeal, did you? So
they're gonna keep it somewhat, I think, in the same aspect of the other two teams and that represent Washington. So I just don't know which way they're going with it yet.
So we got the Washington Capitals and we got the Washington Wizards on two different ends of the spectrum.
Nationals.
And then the Nationals too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So long as
the Wizards are just because it is what
they didn't want to be the Bullets anymore. We're like, we can't be the Bullets. We can't be something that kills somebody.
The Wizards were just a very weird choice.
Yes.
They should be the Washington Warlocks. Go along with the Wizards thing and call them Warlocks. The Washington Warlocks. That'd be sweet.
That's the football team. I'd be down with that. That'd be funny.
And
we're going to show you how bad we can lose.
The other, besides the Olympics and that, just because I'm local with the Indians, but this whole business with Texas and Oklahoma enjoying the SEC is stupid, in my opinion. So.
Oh, I figured it out. We'll have the SEC East, which will be Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Auburn, and Alabama. And then you'll have the SEC West, which will be Ole Miss, Mississippi State, LSU, Arkansas, Missouri, Texas, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma. And I'll still fucking have the SEC with a passion.
Oh,
Well, you just hear about was it Iowa State and Kansas State?
Yes, might go to the Big Ten.
Go to the Big Ten. And you know what? To be honest with you, this isn't. I'm not surprised by any of this because, like 3-4 years ago, they were talking about like the Big Five are going to at some point in 15-20 years are going to become the Big Three. Well, maybe Big Four. We'll push Big Four, but definitely it's going to be Big Three or Big Four.
Well, here's the thing. I saw something about it said like the AAC wanting to try to take some of the Big 12 schools, and I'm like, that's fine. Ain't going to matter.
Nope.
But here, if Texas and Oklahoma do go and join the SEC, obviously the biggest loser is the Big 12 because the conference will cease to be important and all the members will just go disband or do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the second biggest loser if Texas and Oklahoma go and join the SEC?
Texas A&M.
There isn't. I am looking for a specific answer for this, by the way.
Okay,
well,
repeat
Texas
your
isn't there.
Repeat your question.
If Texas and Oklahoma go and join the SEC after the Big 12 conference, which will pretty much cease to exist in all likelihood, who is the next biggest loser in that switch?
Who's Texas A&M.
Who's the network? Who's the network that covers the Big 12? Is there a specific network?
No, it's a combination of Fox and ESPN, just like everything.
They don't have a dedicated network like the other ones do.
Yeah. There's no Big 12 network. There's a Big 10 network and an ACC network.
I would say there would have to be maybe whatever bowl game that they qualify for the Big 12.
No, there's still plenty of bowl games.
Where's Pat going with this question?
And it's because of what I was reading about what other conferences could do in response.
Notre Dame.
No, because Notre Dame will face facts and they'll.
I don't know. I have no idea where you're going. What you're.
Are you talking about the playoff system?
No, Notre Dame. See, Notre Dame, good guess, but Notre Dame will face facts and they'll just go and join the ACC as a full-time member. There's this whole thing about the ACC and the Pac-12 then talking about working together to form some kind of super conference. So the next biggest loser of Texas after the Big 12 conference of Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC is the Big 10, because the Big 10 is going to become increasingly irrelevant, and it'll be increasingly a northern conference where so many kids are just going to go, why should I go play there when I can go play in the warm weather schools? Yep. So the Big 10's going to get shit canned big time by this. And I kind of think that's funny, but
yeah.
I don't like. I liked college football better like 15 years ago. I really did. I guess I'm a traditionalist. I actually liked the BCS. I don't really like the playoff, and they're going to expand the playoff to at least 8 teams, and it's just like, then it's going to be 12. Then, in 20 years, it's going to be 16. They're going to keep expanding the playoff, and I don't really want them to. So I'm not a fan. And I think I saw, as much as I hate dipshit from Clemson, I agree with him that if they're going to make the playoff bigger, they need to start decreasing the regular season games that you're playing. So,
well, the other thing that needs to happen is they really need to rethink, and we talked about this before. There's way too many bowl games, and 2, there's way too many schools that qualify as Division. Well, I know it's not Division I anymore, but that's what it used to be.
I still call it
Division I football teams. Like, and same with basketball. There's too many Division I basketball teams. Like, they need to really rethink, are these teams relevant as Division I? Like, should they really be Division II and decrease the number of teams that are in college football at different levels and stuff like that? And do they really need to have all these bowl games? Like, the bowl games are, like, there's too many of them. Like, as we discussed before, there's just too many bowl games. Like, there's over 40 bowl games. Like, that's just ridiculous. You got
it doesn't matter because
it's money. Yeah, I know it'll never change. It's a money thing. I completely understand that, but you have junk teams playing in irrelevant bowl games for the sake of money for the contracts
that were 6-6. You have teams that were 6-6 or 5-7 playing in bowl games.
I think what might happen too, I could see this happening, and this was talked about like 2 years ago, is like if you have all the big five conferences and all those big division ones, that if they combine conferences, whatever the case may be, I think you're going to see them be kind of split off and do their own thing. I'm fine with the playoff system, but if they want to go to eight teams, so be it. I can get two shits. So if they still have eight teams and all those teams and all those big five conferences join together in conferences, whatever, and then all the other conference, I feel like they're going to kind of do their own thing, where they're still going to do the bowls, but I think they might have their own playoff system or polling system to do their championship of the mid conferences and stuff like that. I think you're going to see a separation where it's going to be totally different landscape. Because to be honest with you, football is different from basketball, because basketball, those teams can keep up with the big conferences. You see it in the tournament. But in football, it's not, it doesn't happen as often, and that's not going to change. You'll see something once in a while, like back in the day with Boise and all that stuff, and beating somebody in a bowl game, but it's not something that happens on a regular basis. Not like basketball.
I think you guys talked about this on your last one, and I'm just going to say it real quick that the whole thing with them like changing the rule where they're going to let these kids get paid, these college kids. I don't care about that. That's fine. My only issue with that is people like Reggie Bush and these idiots from Ohio State saying, "Oh, well, the rule changed. You broke the rule back when that. We don't change the rule back 15 years ago. So if you did something wrong back then, the rule changed now, not 10 years ago." Or like Reggie Bush saying he should have his Heisman Trophy back is bullshit. And
yeah, I'm not a fan of
reinstating stuff. That's what's going to happen.
Retroactive.
Yes.
Rule changes. Yeah.
That's my only real take on that. Is I've seen a couple things where people got in trouble for that years ago, and they're like, "Oh well," and I there's no retroactivity on this, in my opinion, at all.
No, it's only moving forward. You can't go backwards with the rule and say, "Well, because you did this and we've changed it." No, it's going forward. It's not a retroactive. It's a going forward thing. Because could you imagine if they did it retroactive and said, "Okay, well, all the players from starting in this year, we'll go back to this year, all get paid"? What? Are you freaking kidding me? Like,
well, no, they can't. They can't do that. All those players can hope for, unfortunately, is that that their likeness might get used in like a future video game or something like that.
Right.
Because they've already made talks about that they might bring back the NCAA video games after like this stuff gets settled, which I'm all in favor.
Oh, it's definitely coming back.
I always loved doing those games because I loved the recruiting and everything. That's why I was still playing the
like the best part.
Back to playing the NCAA football 2003 PS2 game again. So
it was so much fun.
Still has his PS2 probably.
Yeah, I do. Like I
said. Yeah, he said he plays his 2003 NCAA game.
Yeah, I still enjoy it. It's still fun.
But yeah, so it'll be interesting what happens going forward with that, and we did touch on that not too long ago. But it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward with the NCAA basketball, all sports, because it's going to have to affect all sports. It's not going to be like, well, we're only going to do it for football and basketball.
Well, I mean, those are the only two sports that are definite money makers. So. It'll be interesting to see how something like that shakes out. But I just wanted to say real quickly about you saying about how like there's too many schools that are like Division I, this, that, or the other thing. I mean, yeah, you could definitely make that argument, especially when you look at basketball, since there's really no it's not FBS and FCS and everything. But nobody can force those schools to fit under a certain classification. Like if a school wants to be a Division I school, it's going to be a Division I school. You do see some schools sometimes drop down to Division II or Division III, but it's more likely that you see a school moving up to Division I anymore. There's been like a bunch that have done that over the last 10 years or so.
Well, and maybe the NCAA needs to step in and create some kind of guidelines to be eligible as a Division I school. They have it at the high school level in order to be.
I think there are certain things like that. I couldn't tell you what they are, but I believe there are certain things that they have to do. Like if it's in like, because when a school like decides to like elevate to Division One,
Mhm.
like it's not eligible for like postseason for like 3 years or something like that. Like they have to basically prove that they can like cut it as a Division One program for a certain period of time. So
Right.
that's so there is some sort of guideline. I just don't know exactly like how they classify it.
It says the men won the gold in the relay, so Dressel won
Good.
his first gold. So
Good. That works.
What's Michael Phelps doing this year? Oh wait,
he was actually commentating. They were talking to him tonight.
Yep,
Well, he has to retire at some time. Can't swim forever.
And he doesn't need to do anything else.
He's not a fish.
Yeah, I mean,
he's not Dory. He's not Dory from
That Dory. That's awesome.
Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
I'm not a fish. I'm a man.
The way he swam, you wouldn't know he was a man. He would swear he's a freaking fish.
He was a beast.
Yeah, he was.
Yep. I don't. He's one of those once in a lifetime athletes for swimming. That's for sure. We're probably not going to see another one in our lifetime like that. That's that dominant at what he does. But it is what it is.
We can talk about wrestling now, maybe, right? For a little bit.
Yeah.
If you want to, no.
Yeah, we could talk about wrestling. I don't know what's going on in wrestling. I've completely lost interest in watching
because I just went to Smackdown the other night in Cleveland.
Cleveland Steamer.
Yeah. And I said I'll go once and we'll see what it's like. I will not be going to a WWE event anytime soon. So one night was enough. One night with the crowd was enough for me.
It was ruined.
So I'm not, because I'm in the minority, it's not fun for me because I just don't understand. It was cool to see Cena. It was really cool to see Cena in person. That was probably the best part of that night. But I'm not even rooting for Cena when he fights Roman. I'd rather see Roman win than Cena.
Well, I think Roman does win just because what's the relevance of having Cena win? Like, he's not going to be around very long.
So, I mean, I will give Cena credit, though. He came back and he's doing like 15 shows. Like, he's not just doing 2 shows. He's doing all the house shows and everything till the end of August. So,
you need to get that ring rust off. In case he has any.
Well, he's a draw. I mean, they know he's a draw. I mean, before the show started, they were doing "Let's Go Cena." Cena sucks. Like, they were doing that before the show even started. And
I think one of our mutual friends, you said you're in the minority now. I think one of our mutual friends said that the demographic, you don't fit the demographic anymore. So
me and Pat are not in the demo anymore that they're trying to appeal to. That doesn't.
Yeah, it's because we're over 40. That's what it comes down to.
You're old.
And I told Joe this. I told Joe this earlier today or yesterday, whatever. I don't understand why people get excited for guys who are 50. Like, I just don't. So I'm not trying to disrespect Edge because he's a great wrestler. He's probably one of the 20 best wrestlers of all time. Do I want to see a 50-year-old wrestling? No, I do not. I don't care who they are.
The next time I see you, when you're 50 and I see you, I'm gonna get excited when you walk in the room. I'm like, yeah, and then I'm gonna drop kick you.
Edge is only 40. Edge is only 47.
Okay, well, whatever. He's taking all these guys who are 45 or older are taking spots from other people, and what happens is this is why you can't build stars of the future, because like Joe said, they always feel like they have to fall back on somebody. They have to fall back on Cena, or they have to fall back on Edge, or they have to fall back on Brock. As much as I want to see Brock come back, they have to fall back on one of these guys like that because they don't know how to build up anybody. They have nobody.
Well, nostalgia. It's the whole nostalgia thing, and WWE is the one who created it, and it's fucked them multiple times.
Yeah. What I was gonna say is, though,
they created part-timers.
Who's that person? Who's that person who's on the same level? You know that, and it does come down to what you're saying. Like they don't know how to build people up. It's like I don't know where like this. Like it almost becomes like a chicken or the egg kind of thing. Is the problem that they don't know how to build new stars because they keep relying on the guys from 10, 15, 20 years ago? Or is it that they rely on those guys because they can't build new stars or they can't get new guys over or whatever the case might be? It's really kind of hard to tell. I mean, I don't know, because on one hand it's like, well, what else could they have possibly done to get Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins or Dean Ambrose or a few of the guys whose names are kind of skipping my head right now over. It's like, what else could they have done to get those guys over? I don't know. I just feel like it's also a case in point where people just don't care about wrestling that much anymore. I don't know.
It was just like, for me, it was like, because Edge came out first, and the place went absolutely apeshit when Edge came out. Of course, I didn't stand up and cheer because I'm not going to do that. So, but then, like, when Rollins came out, Pat, it was like that time I was there with you when Bradshaw came out. Like, there was like 10 people standing up cheering for Seth Rollins, like, in the whole building. Like, I was in the extreme minority standing up and cheering for him. And that's just weird to me because Rollins is in his prime, and I don't understand. I don't. It doesn't. That's why I think the fans are stupid. I told Joe that when I watch AEW and I watch NXT's the least affected by it. But even in AEW now, like Kenny and the Bucks, people are booing them, like incessantly booing them. If you're a fan of these people, I don't care if they're a face or a heel. You cheer your people that you like. You don't turn on them just because they're a face or a heel. If you're a 12-year-old kid, I understand. But if you're an adult and you're still cheering for the heels and you're not like mentally handicapped or something, I'm going to make fun of you because like make your own choices. You don't have to root for the good guys anymore because you're not a kid anymore. And I don't turn on people. Like if you like your people, like I use CM Punk as an example with Joe. He's going to cheer for CM Punk no matter what he's doing. He can have the worst gimmick in the world, and Joe's still going to cheer for him because he likes him. I don't understand how these people, like, one day they like this guy. Like a perfect example would be at Money in the Bank. These people are booing Roman the whole match. And then when he does the hoo-ah, everybody does it. If you don't like him, you don't do that. You don't do that. You boo him, and that's it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, people are, like, such hypocrites, like wrestling fans especially, and I see it happening in front of my face all the time.
My
that's what they want, though. That's the crazy part.
I want to talk. Let me talk. Shh.
Let
me talk.
Okay.
Well,
yes, senor.
So, one of the things that's, you have to admit, one of the things that's kind of been the downfall of WWE in probably in the last 10 years or so is when they really started caring about what the fans' input into their product was. And not to say that everything that fans want is not a good idea. Not every idea that they have is bad, okay? But when you solely start looking at the fans and saying, okay, we got to give the fans what they want, you start taking your product from being what you want it to being what the fans want it to be. And we can see how the product has drastically changed. And it's not necessarily for the good for their product in general. Yes, we are not part of the demographic anymore that WWE is trying to cater to. They're trying to cater to that like 5 to like 25 demographic, maybe 30, and that's a huge range of people. Like that's a very diverse group of people. Like they all have different, but the simple fact comes when you're listening to the fans too much in what you're going to put out there as a product, it gets really, really bad. And it's gotten really, really stale too. Like they're not doing anything original. So, you're going to just have, people all over the place because they don't necessarily know who they should root for, who they should cheer for, and not every fan's like you doesn't have a loyalty to, I like this guy as a heel and now he's a face. do I still cheer him or do I boo him now? Or, and vice versa. Usually it's vice versa. They were face and now they're a heel. They don't have that loyalty. They're just like, okay, go with the crowd. And, to each their own. You can cheer for whoever you want to and boo whoever you want to. And I don't freaking care. But it just gets very convoluted and it gets very hard to follow. And that's why I really have stopped watching, because I want you to listen to the fans as far as, like, if there's no crowd reaction for this person and they're not getting over in 6 months and there's still no crowd, like Baron Corbin is a perfect fucking example. Why is he still on your roster of fucking people when nobody cares about him? You're evidently listening to the fans, like the few fans that he has, because nobody else fucking cares. They're turning him out of the ring.
They're turning him into a homeless hobo right now.
Oh my God. So bad. Because that's fucking makes sense. But anyways, either you're going to listen to your fans or you're not going to listen to fans, because evidently they're not listening to your fans for that guy, but they listen to him for everything else, because it's like, what the fuck? Because he's not a draw. Nobody goes to watch a wrestling show to say, oh, dude, I'm going to see Baron Corbin fight tonight. I'm like, no, nobody fucking cares about Baron Corbin. And then they drop, Braun Strowman. People actually liked Braun Strowman. I personally did not, but people like Braun Strowman, but they let him go.
They're supposedly going to sign him back. He was making too much money, so I think they let him go to get him out of the contract he was in. And now there's rumors that they're going to they brought Samoa Joe back. Granted, he's on NXT, and they brought Selena Vega back. So they brought two of the people that they got rid of back in the last, month.
That's how they do contract negotiations in the WWE. We're going to fire you
and then bring you back.
Less money.
Less money.
No, it's that old territory adage. You got to go learn a new hold, and then once you do, you can come back.
So it's just it's.
How can I miss you if you won't go away?
But that also has a lot to do in their talent development too, is by listening to what the crowd wants. Because if the crowd doesn't like you, okay, you're evidently not. We don't get enough crowd noise, crowd reaction. People are saying they want to see this person. We're watching our Instagram, we're watching our tweets, we're all doing all this, and nobody seems to be caring about you. So we're gonna put you on the back burner. And nobody's
the other thing at Money in the Bank too was when Rhea and Charlotte were fighting, 2 minutes into the match, the crowd started chanting, "We want Becky." And then 15 minutes later, they were chanting, "This is awesome." What a bunch of dipshits. That is so hypocritical. It doesn't get any worse than that, to be chanting, "We want Becky," and then 2 minutes into the match, they didn't even give these girls a chance to do anything.
No.
Well,
it was shitty.
My counter to that would be that the two things aren't contradictory to each other. I think it's a case in point where they realize that this is the first, show back on the road and everything. And so there was a lot of talk about there being surprises for the show. And I think that was just that crowd saying that was a surprise they wanted to see. I don't think that chanting "We want Becky" is really necessarily saying we don't give a shit about watching these two women in this match.
I disagree with you on that. So I think that was what my perception of it was, 100%.
And that was a lot of people's perception, too.
My friend Zach was sitting here next to me saying, these people in this crowd are a bunch of dipshits. So somebody else besides me said the same exact thing. Look at these assholes trying to hijack this event.
All I'm really saying to that is that, I think it was just a crowd that was just hyped for a surprise, and they didn't really necessarily care what it was or anything like that.
So it was. I'm glad Charlotte flipped the crowd off and did the crotch chop to him, because the crowd deserved it. So
yeah, she gave him the finger. She walked around like this, and she gave him the crotch shot. And they blacked it out, and they had to just let it play out because she kept doing it. It was awesome.
Hey, you know what? That's fine. That's called playing to
heel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's called playing to the crowd. It's called being a heel.
Which a lot of heels don't do anymore.
That's the way stuff is still supposed to be done, as far as I'm concerned.
The other thing that didn't help is Becky did post on social media that she was in the same city that the pay-per-view was at, and she took a picture, I think, outside the stadium or some shit like that. So it's kind of you're getting all those fans are coming to this pay-per-view hyped up because, oh shit, Becky Lynch has posted on Twitter that she's in front of the fucking stadium. Oh shit, she's coming out tonight. She's showing up. And but on the flip side, like, why? I mean, I could see if like it was like 10 minutes into the match. Okay, you know, you're expecting Becky to come out, but like 2 minutes, it's like I just kind of like they really didn't give him a chance.
It would have been 10 if I wouldn't be nearly as critical if it was 10 or 12 minutes into the match, because then you've at least watched the match and given them a chance. It's the fact that they didn't even wait too deep in the match, and then the match ended up being the best match on the pay-per-view. So like that irked me. The crowd, and Pat, I understand the crowd was hype. The crowd's hype. In every crowd I've seen has been hype. Even the shitty crowd I sat in the other night was hype. So, but the best part of the night for me the other night was when Rollins shit on Cleveland. He's like, I didn't really want to come out here and see you people because I don't even want to be in this city right now. So,
yeah.
Although I did also tell Joe I'm very curious to see John Cena and Roman Reigns in a promo head-to-head in the ring to see how far Roman has come since the last time that happened when Cena took him behind the woodshed and shit on him. So I
wonder if they're going to let Cena just talk from the cuff, or they're going to freaking give us some kind of script.
No, they let Cena talk from the cuff.
They would not dare hand Cena a script.
Yeah, Cena's in that. He's with The Rock, where he gets to just go out and talk. They don't give him a.
It might be like, hey, Cena, say something about this and this, and we don't give a shit what you say.
Well, I remember good old Chris Jericho saying that they came to him with the script and he threw the script at them and said, get the fuck away from me with this shit, or something to that effect.
Yeah, definitely.
What the fuck are you doing?
We'll see how much Heyman's taught.
Because you guys didn't really watch SmackDown, Roman did. He got a really good dig on Cena the other night. He was like, you come back and Hollywood change your look, but then he's like, same old music, same old entrance. You run down to the ring, nothing's changed. It's kind of like the missionary position. It gets boring after a while.
Nice.
That
was good. That like is his best dig he's ever done.
I have a feeling that was not in the script.
And when Heyman left and he went to the back and he was singing Cena's music, that was also priceless. So,
do 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 do.
I just
do 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 do.
If some of you guys like the New Day, that's fine. I think Big E Langston is garbage. I've never liked him. I think he's the worst person of the three in the New Day, and I'm just not excited about him like winning the belt. It just does nothing for me because I think he's a mid-carder at best. So I'm not there at all with him.
I have no problems with them giving him an opportunity because
I don't buy into that whole he deserves it bullshit or he earned it. I don't buy into that. That's not a reason to give somebody something.
I don't have anything against Big E as far as like his ability and talent and stuff like that, but do I think he's championship material? Do I think he should be on the is he a headliner? Nah, he's more of a mid-carder, and not a great mid-carder either, because the New Day is him being part of the New Day is what really made him.
It's what made all three of them.
You know, well, and see that
I guess some people probably liked Kofi before. I didn't, but some people probably did like Kofi before the New Day. But like Xavier Woods and Big E, that's the only thing that really made them relevant.
And with Xavier Woods, we didn't get to see enough of him before the New Day was formed. Like he was pretty much there for maybe a couple months, I think.
And I like him.
He was in the New Day.
Right, I like him because he's Consequences Creed from TNA, and I'm assuming Joe likes him for that reason too. And
we already knew from seeing him on TNA that he was full of talent, he was full of charisma.
Oh yeah,
he could talk on the mic. He had all the key elements, but just like a lot of things, they squandered what could have been, and they put him in a group, which it's benefited him. But we know he could easily be a top mid carder, if not possibly. You know, in that top tier.
He's someone could be U.S. champ or Intercontinental champ easily.
Right.
But Big E as the champ, it almost feels like Mark Henry all over again. Now, Mark Henry, I think, should have had more title opportunities when he was in his prime, instead of just giving it to him at the end of his career and just saying, "Here, thank you." Like, because that's
there was two reasons why they didn't.
Well,
he was injury prone. He was injury prone, and he hurt other people. That's not a good combination.
No, but Big E Langston, he's not in that same league. In my personal opinion, he's not in that same league as Mark Henry is. He hasn't put in the time to be able to say, "Oh, he deserves that title." Like he's not. He hasn't been there long enough for that.
And I mean,
he's been there for like 8 years at least.
Yeah, but look how many years Mark Henry was there. I mean, I know he had those issues with hurting people and being hurt, but still, look at how long Mark Henry was there before they even put the title on him.
He also had a 20-year contract.
But it's just one of those things. Like there's plenty of other people that they could have put it on, instead of Big E Langston. They didn't have to put it on him as a thank you favor.
Right.
Deserves it.
That's what it felt. That's what it felt like to me. So
whatever their reasoning was for it, it doesn't make sense, because there's just other people that are much better that could have been in that title hunt that they're probably squandering right now.
I remember when I was watching that match was, as soon as the stream started working properly.
Yes.
That was another catastrophe.
Peacock was a hot mess that night. Just during their entrances. Just during their, I went back and watched all the entrances because we didn't get to see any of the entrances for that match.
Yeah, I was just, I was like panicking, thinking that it was like, oh great, so this is the first taste I'm getting of the internet not working in my apartment here and everything. Then when I saw that it was Peacock, I was like, oh well, that's a relief. But so I was looking at it like this. I was like, okay, so the obvious favorites in this match are Drew and Seth, which means neither one of them will probably win it. I said Morrison and Ricochet, no chance. No chance. And then what did we have left over? We had
Riddle,
Owens,
Riddle, and Nakamura
and Riddle. I said I can see reasons for and against all those guys, so I'm guessing one of those four wins this match.
Yeah, Riddle's going to be the next person that I'm just going to be like, I don't want to see him as champ. I don't think he deserves it. But,
I don't think he's a world title, but he's a good mid-card guy. And he's going to win the tag belt with Orton when Orton's off the disability list or whatever's going on with Orton. So
the thing with Riddle though too is that I think the gimmick's a little goofy for being a world champion.
Being serious.
I think he's a little small for a world champion, though. Of course, they have gone some small guys, but I think it's like I think the goofiness of the gimmick is gonna hurt him more. And so that's another thing too. You talk about them not being able to build stars, and it's like, well, why is that? Is it because there's too much comedy? I think that's a factor. Yep. It's like, I feel like they've already fucked up McIntyre in a lot of ways, and I think that one of the ways in which they've done that is by having him say a lot of this really nonsensical shit, like the sword, it comes from like the tooth of a dragon. It's like,
I mean, they fucked him up before they even did that when they had him lose twice to Lashley because of MVP interfering and looking like a dimwit. Yeah, you could definitely make the argument too, but you have him go out there then again when like the way that you really got him over was by being an ass kicker, by being a serious ass kicker, by coming right into the Royal Rumble and taking it right to Brock fucking Lesnar and everything. Yeah. And then a year and a half later, you have him saying that this sword that he carries, when they're basically also like recycling some kind of like Braveheart thing, when it's like Braveheart's 25 fucking years old.
What, you don't like seeing him draw the big sword, having the face paint on and everything like that?
No, it's stupid. But for him to not be handed a script where they're saying, we want you to say that the sword is, the tooth of a dragon, for him to not pull a Jericho and throw that script back in somebody's face and say, I'm not saying that. Come on, they've built him up at this point. They put the title on him. If he's going to go throw that script in somebody's face, they're not going to fire him.
No. You go from being Brock Lesnar to being a dimwit. Like, how does that happen?
Yeah.
How
do you do that to somebody?
Lazy booking.
I read his book, And the one thing I will say about him is he clearly thinks he's better on the mic than he actually is. So he really thinks he's like one of the top tier guys on the mic, and I'm laughing the whole time I'm reading that part. I'm like, you're not even close, buddy. So keep thinking you're like that, but you're not even in the top tier. So that's I enjoyed his book, other than that part of it where he was like trying to talk like he's one of the better wrestling guys on the mic, and he's not. So
Who, Drew?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize he had a book.
Yep, I read it. Sheamus is like his best friend, basically. So, like, that's
Scottish guy and an Irish guy?
Shocker.
I thought Ricochet and Kevin Owens were the best guys, the MVPs of the ladder match. So that was my problem, is I thought those two guys stole the show in that match, and usually the guy that does that doesn't win. So
I was cringing a couple times with some of the bumps that Owens took in that match. I was just
when Ricochet jumped off the ropes, that was one of the coolest things I saw this year. That was one of the best spots I saw this year. He hit that. He almost jumped too far on that. Like, he almost overjumped them.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
I think one of the other reasons that they struggle to make new stars is that they don't, in my view, effectively use NXT.
They don't. You're right. You're not wrong about that part of this, Pat. That they don't know how to incorporate them in usually.
At this point, NXT should not just NXT should not just be like developmental. They should, from time to time, trade guys between NXT and the main roster. Just for the sake of, it's an old saying. Cornette says it a lot. How can I miss you if you won't go away? How do you prevent your product from becoming stale? You got to create new matchups. Well, doing a draft once a year isn't going to do that, because inevitably you're going to have wrestler A and wrestler B who feuded for 3 months go their separate ways, and then maybe go their separate shows, but then like a year or two later,
they feud again.
They're back on the same show, feuding with each other again. And it's like, okay, well, something could have changed in 2 years, yes, but it's still something that you've seen before. Meanwhile, if you switch guys between NXT every once in a while, I'm not saying you have to do it. You have to include NXT in the draft necessarily, and do like a complete revamp like that, because I think there's still pretty clearly some people in NXT who aren't really ready for the main roster. Didn't it probably how big of a deal was Finn Balor's return to SmackDown then, because he had been on NXT for a year or so?
I mean, there was a big deal there.
Right. So I'm just saying, like, let's say if you moved a couple people to NXT and had them work with some of the newer guys and some of the up-and-comer guys, and then maybe you brought them back to Raw or SmackDown, then, like, it might mean something for that. Like, what are Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode doing right now, as an example?
Yep.
I think those
I wrestled the other day, but that's the first time I've seen them on TV in like a month.
Right. It's like, wouldn't those be two guys that would be great to work with some of the younger, newer guys in NXT? And when I say younger, newer guys, I'm not talking about like the top NXT guys. So I'm not talking about Karrion Kross or Gargano or Ciampa or Cole or O'Reilly or Fish or Strong and all those guys. And maybe it's time we get some of those guys on the main roster too. Just because, like, how fucking long have Gargano and Ciampa been?
Well, here's the thing. Ciampa supposedly said he will not go to the main roster. Like, supposedly he said he'll quit or retire. So that's what the rumor is, that he doesn't want anything to do with the main roster. So
I guess maybe I understand that, but wouldn't you want to work with some different guys?
So Ciampa, Gargano, and Cole, to me, those three guys are better than almost everybody on the main roster. If you take AJ, Seth Rollins, and maybe one other person out, those three guys are better than the rest of the roster in the ring, all three of them. So maybe Finn. Finn's probably in that discussion too, but they don't have a lot of guys on their main roster who are like going to put on 4 or 5 star matches every time out. Bobby Lashley's not doing it. So like they don't have a ton of those guys. So mixing it up and bringing Adam Cole up or bringing Johnny Gargano up or somebody besides Finn, I don't want them to do it, but they need to do it for the reasons you just said, Pat. So
yeah. Well, and I think I've said this to you guys before. I think like AEW seems to have this like never-ending, always expanding roster where like nobody ever gets fired or seems to leave. Now I know they're adding the second show and this, that, and the other thing. But do you know how many people, because, again, Cornette was doing this on his podcast last week and this week, like where he was saying, like, he was, like, picking, like, his WWE roster and everything. Do you know how many people are on the Superstars page on WWE.com? I think they said it was over 200.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's accounting. That's counting every brand. Like, you know, including, I think, you know, not just NXT, but I think also NXT UK.
right.
It's like 200 people.
I mean, Pat, there's probably 100 people on AEW's roster on one. And they're, you know, I told Joe they better divide the brand up and have different people on different shows. If they don't do that, they're fucked. Like they can't have the same people on both shows every week. Like there's so many people that nobody's getting to see right now that
they
should be.
They can't fuck up like they did with Nitro and Thunder, like WCW did.
Well, see, that was the whole thing. Well, they very quickly turned Thunder into an absolute B show, and you never saw the main event guys on Thunder. But at the same time, it's like they have to make a decision if they want that second show to be a second show that's like an equal, and just the time slot alone, though, tells me that it's not.
Right.
Because, you know, Friday night, later at night, that's not exactly a ratings bonanza time slot. But they have to really, I think, decide if they wanted to make it like an equal show, or do they wanted to make it a show where they want to get some of these guys who you don't see all the time some experience on wrestling on TV. Is the show supposed to be live or taped? Have they even said that yet?
Live.
Yeah. Okay.
Live show.
So there's another factor. You know, they'll have to figure stuff like that out. So I am actually kind of interested to see what they. Sorry, I saw something weird on my Facebook. I am interested to see what they do with that, just because they do have such a big roster, and there are some guys who I definitely would like to see more of. Like, I want to see more of Brian Pillman Jr. You know, that kind of stuff.
I want to see more of the Acclaimed. I want to see more of Private Party. There's definitely groups like people I want to see, and I like Pillman too. So there are definitely people I want to see more of, and even somebody like Christian or like guys like that who are in the mid card, Ricky Starks, Brian Cage, some of those guys. You put them on that show, even if the belt that Miro's carrying around is the main belt on that show. Then you have your mid card, some of your mid card stuff going on there, and if you're going to bring a trios belt in, you could maybe feature that on that show too. Even like they need to do something to delineate, especially if these rumors about two certain guys are true. So
I was wondering when we were going to get to that.
I mean, I may very well be in Chicago on September 5th watching CM Punk debut in AEW. So
yeah. Can you imagine what that pop would sound like if Cult of Personality hits and then he comes out?
I'm like,
they're gonna go ape shit.
I'm not like the biggest.
It might be the loudest pop ever.
I'm not the biggest. I'm not his biggest fan, but if I get to see that, that's going to be pretty badass to be able to be there and see that. So.
Yeah. See, if those two guys, because I know we'll probably want to wrap this up soon. If those two guys go to AEW, it's definitely going to make me watch AEW only from the aspect of seeing what they do with them. And because I'm sure for I don't know so much about Punk, what Punk's exact motivation to go to AEW would be, if it's purely financial or if there is like, oh, I want to work with that guy and I want to work with that guy.
I think it's the second thing you said is my guess.
Well, Daniel
it's financial for him.
With Daniel Bryan, I know it would be, I want to work with that guy. I want to work with that guy, especially since he knows that, his career could end at any time with, the history of neck injuries and every other damn thing and concussion injury. And, so that kind of thing. So the thing of it is that I would have to think that both guys, like, they probably wouldn't get the Hogan clause, but I would have to think that they would both get some level of control over what they do, especially when I read so many comments from some of these AEW guys. They're like, oh, yeah, we can do whatever we want to do, which is kind of troubling in a lot of ways because a lot of those guys who are saying that are not guys who should be able to call their own shots. But I would have to think, again, Bryan and Punk would get that. So I would then be interested to see what it is that they're doing and if they would start doing goofy comedy shit or if they would actually do stuff that, just, paints them completely serious. And that would really kind of help me with
I don't think
trying to
Punk would
like
do anything
trying to like
silly.
AEW. I don't think he would either, but he made the comment saying about, I guess, like why he wouldn't go back to WWE, saying like, I wouldn't want to be doing bad television. And just, again, anytime I try to watch an AEW show, it's like I just see like a bunch of things that are bad. If it's not botches in the ring, it's a lot of nonsensical booking, or it's like that every match ends with like run-ins and brawls, and like they do that like multiple times a show. It's almost like watching a Vince Russo written Nitro, where every match ends in a DQ.
Yeah, they have work to do. They still got
AEW's. Yeah, they need to improve stuff like that, and you would hope that if they bring two guys of this caliber in, that maybe some of that could rub off on everybody else. But I sometimes worry that some of these worst tendencies that AEW shows would maybe rub off on them, because I think that has happened with Jericho. I think that has happened with Matt Hardy. I think it's happened with some other people. So we'll see.
And I think a little bit of that is because you have Jeff Hardy. Freaking good Lord. Now I just lost his name. You just said his name and
Matt Hardy.
No, not Matt Hardy. The other one.
Jericho.
Thank you. I don't know why all of a sudden I couldn't think, but Jericho, who it's kind of like those days of WCW where he gets to make too much decision. He has input on too much stuff. And though he has been around for fucking ever now in the wrestling world, there are some people that know how to book, and that's why they book. And there's some people that don't know how to book, even with the vast wrestling knowledge that they have. And I wonder if that's what's happening with AEW, that there's too much input from Jericho and he really should just remain helping the young guys, wrestling on the show, leave the booking up to somebody else. Like, he's not a Dusty. Dusty learned how to book. Well, not all the time. I know he always booked well.
I actually don't think Jericho's really. I don't really think Jericho's doing a lot with that. I actually don't think I feel like Jericho. My biggest problem with Jericho is I don't want to see him wrestle anymore. I don't think he's saying I'm going to win, I'm going to lose. I think he's put. Well, no, he is at the point.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he's doing that. I'm saying he just has a lot of input on the booking end of for the whole thing, not just his portion himself, but everything.
He's tried to deny that, and he's not one of the EVPs the way that
he's not Cody or the Bucks.
Cody and Omega and the Bucks are and everything. But I could also argue that the fact that Cody and Omega and the Bucks are EVPs like that is also a bad idea. It's like, because
I don't think it's a bad idea, because I don't think they've done anything horrible yet. So I don't think it's a bad idea. They're still learning. So
well, we can all agree things have to get better for AEW.
There can be too much of this guy or the other guy having like too much power over everybody else. It's like and it's happy. The creative control stuff in WCW, people like to point to that as one of reasons why WCW went down. Dusty's booking in Crockett, a lot of people point to why things started souring for them in 87 and 88 and led to them having to sell out to Turner and everything. So there are some times where it's like if you still got somebody who's still that close to the top of the card who has that much influence that it can possibly lead to bad things. I mean,
it could, but like on a week,
we haven't seen it yet because the company's still too new and everything.
They are, but
they're still trying to find their footing.
On a week to week basis, there have definitely been some shows that were bad. There was about a 5-week stretch back during the pandemic where AEW was awful for like 4 or 5 weeks in a row. But they've had one bad pay-per-view since they started. Like their pay-per-views have been, I'd put 2 or 3 of their pay-per-views in my top 10 in the last 3 years. So their pay-per-views have been really good. So they're doing something right that the pay-per-views are like, their pay-per-views are better than all of the. I don't even know if there's a WWE pay-per-view that would be in my top 5 in the last 3 years. It'd be NXT and AEW. That's it. So WWE's not even close.
The other thing,
as long as they don't do anything stupid like an exploding ring that doesn't explode.
I mean, obviously that was stupid, but the rest of the pay-per-view was stupid. But I didn't want them to do that anyways, so I was not necessarily a fan. I don't need exploding death matches, so I don't necessarily need that.
All right, Joe. Give your point, and then I think we're gonna wrap it up on.
Yeah. So I mean, like,
wrap it up, yo.
Hey.
Sorry. No, I was doing a Chappelle show throwback.
I think the one thing I think Tony Khan has to learn is that, like, I understand he gives these guys a lot of freedom as far as them letting them be take control of their own character and come up with ideas. Because I read he still has final say in a lot of stuff that goes on, what goes on in the show and all that. But I think he wants a lot of these guys to succeed and fail where they're not told what to do. If you have an idea, come to him. He goes over it with you. If he likes it, great. If he doesn't like it, he'll tell you why, from what I've read. And then you kind of discuss and tweak it to make it better. And he lets them go out there and do their thing. And if it works, great. If, it doesn't work, then they failed and they try, they move on to the next thing. They tweak it or whatever they need to do to try to make it better than what it was. And I think you see a lot of that growth as far as like some of the characters, as far as some things kind of don't make sense when they go out there and do things, and some things are home runs. So they're still learning in regards to that. And those wrestlers too are still learning, because 3/4 of this roster have never been on a prime time TV show like this ever. Like, you could talk about TNA all you want, and ROH and AAA and all that stuff. Like, you're on Access and all, like, small TV networks. You're not being shown to like millions upon millions of fans like you are in like TNT and TBS. So yes. I mean, they're still learning in regards to that. And the biggest thing people like going to Tony Khan is because he gives them the freedom to be themselves. He's not telling them what they have to do and how they have to do this. The professional wrestlers are there for a reason. They've worked for multiple companies for a reason. So it's just a learning curve in regards to that. So it's got to see where it goes.
It's a good point.
Well, I would just say at some point, guys like that do have to be told what to do, though.
They do.
Maybe not necessarily from a booking standpoint, but from a in-match standpoint. Like, you don't need to do like that spot or that spot because it's too dangerous. You got to be thinking a little smarter about stuff like that. And, anytime we can stop doing dives to the outside where like the other guy is like, has to stand there and wait to catch the other guy, the less we see of that spot, the better, just as an example. That's across the board. That applies to WWE too.
And those are the growing pains that new companies go through. All right. So we're going to wrap up this show. We're going to call it a night. We want to thank everybody for tuning in to the
I fell asleep already.
to this wonderful show. Thanks, AJ, for joining us today. Even though we told everybody in the last episode that you had left. He's back.
I'll show up from time to time. I mean, you guys didn't do that many. Like, I just don't really want to do it every weekend. But if you're not doing it every weekend, then
well, we should be back next week to do another one. So, if you'd like to join us, feel free.
I wasn't set up to try to do a podcast for like the last 3 weeks. So,
So
I really
yes,
only got up and running here the last
vacations
week,
going
so.
on, Darth Pat moving, just a lot of stuff going on our personal lives. So we had to put a halt to the podcast, but we're glad everybody showed up today. Hope everybody enjoyed it. The audio version of this will probably be out next week sometime, as I get the 3 weeks ago. So audio version out this coming week. So we're a little bit delayed. I'm a little bit delayed on getting audio versions
That's
out
all right.
there, but
It happens.
it all gets done. And we want to thank everybody because last time I looked, we got quite a few listeners in our worldview. We have India tuning in. We had more UK tuning in.
Damn, appreciate it.
I guess I got to be
That's
careful
awesome.
and not rip on NXT UK then. Shit.
So we got some international listeners. We're starting to grow our audience in the
We're not allowed to make fun of
version.
gender either.
No.
Oh my God.
So we're
Well,
starting to grow that crowd.
Those shows
in our
track
audio
themselves.
versions, which is pretty awesome. So thanks you to if you listen to this on the audio, thanks for tuning in. We always appreciate it. We hope you enjoy the show. And with that, we're going to say good night, good afternoon, and good morning, and we'll catch you on the next episode.